So today I'm super excited. I'm recording for Instagram Live, I'm recording for the podcast, and I'm recording for all the things because this is a really, really important topic. So today I'm going to be covering the difference between functional health and Western medicine and which one is really right for you. And so if these topics that I've been sharing these past couple of weeks really interest you, I would highly recommend that you subscribe to the PCC podcast because it's a relatively I won't even say relatively new podcast. We have 70 something episodes, but I'm going to be diving even deeper than what you'll get on Instagram here on those episodes. So I made this episode really because I wanted to differentiate between what does it look like to go to your primary care practitioner, go to your OBGYN, what kind of support are you going to get there versus what kind of support are you going to get with functional medicine and things that we do for our clients at PCC. So this is for you if you've ever felt like you have been brushed off by your doctor, you've come to them with complaints like I'm bloated all the time, I'm tired all the time, I have zero energy, I just can't get through my day-to-day life activities. Oh, and I also have a lot of weight that I want to lose and it's just not coming off. Or maybe your cycles are irregular, or maybe you're struggling with really heavy periods that kind of knock you out of commission and you've been told either after or before running lab work that everything looks fine. You look healthy, you have nothing to worry about, and you end up pretty frustrated because you just know that something's not right, or you just have this lingering feeling that you are doing the things that you should be doing and the results just aren't adding up. And this is really, really common because the majority of women that I've been talking to, especially probably in the last 6 months, are doing everything, are doing all the things that you should, which are dieting, exercising, really putting their best effort forth to see as much results as possible, doing a lot of research on their own, being a go-getter, being an action taker, and they're still coming up short when it comes to the actual return on their investment of time and energy. And so if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, I want you to know you're not broken. And if you feel like you've been brushed off, then this discrepancy might really be one of the biggest turning points for you to understand how to get your health back and how to feel better in your skin and in your life, and therefore be so much more for everyone else around you. So if you're new to my page, if you're new to this platform, a little bit of background about me. So I'm Marissa, if it wasn't obvious by my profile, but I'm the founder and owner and CEO of Permanent Change Coaching, where we are passionate about getting our clients permanent, lasting results because we are diving deep into integrative health, into functional health, into mindset, into lifestyle, into behavior change in order to make this stick for good and be the last coaching service that you ever need. And so my background is in first, actually, neuroscience. So my bachelor's is in neuroscience, which I'm super proud of. And I really, I didn't know that I was going to use it for this at the time when I was studying for my undergrad, but I'm so glad that I did and that I went with that path. Because that brings in a lot of the mindset, the behavior change, the habit change aspect into things. And then I also have my specialization in functional nutrition and metabolism, as well as spending a couple of years in a lab at a university studying female hormones, hormonal birth control, metabolism, and body composition. But most importantly, I think beyond just like credentials and letters, which are important, and it is important that you work with credentialed practitioners in this industry. More importantly, I'm actually someone who's gone through this journey relatively recently. So I used to kind of be a little bit shy about this side of the business, and I used to just work with clients case by case on it because I didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver, or just, I don't know, I just didn't want to seem like gimmicky or scammy, and I thought that functional medicine for a while was kind of gimmicky. I really did, until I went through it myself. So 2024 was one of the hardest years that I've ever had in business. And I have always kind of been on the tipping point of burnout, I'll say. And that was kind of a joke that I had with myself for a while, but it really became real this past year. All of the stress of growing a business, scaling a business, leading a team, hiring, firing, all these things really led me to that tipping point of burnout, where I was in a position where I would wake up after 8 or 9 hours of sleep, deep sleep, and I would feel like I didn't sleep at all. I would feel like I had brain fog that would last for days, not days, hours, and into the middle of the day, and I couldn't shake it, no matter how much coffee I drank, no matter how much I got in the sun, got my body moving. I thought I was vitamin D deficient. I was wrong. I was kind of stabbing in the dark for a while. I was puffy all over the place. I was also getting a lot of acne in my face. And having a lot of on and off gut issues, as well as very, 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 very heavy and painful periods, much more than I had ever experienced in my life. And I started to realize my body was maybe not whispering at me, but yelling at me of like, hey, something's not right under the hood. And it was impacting everything. I mean, it was impacting my ability to run my business, to show up for everyone the way that I needed to. And obviously my confidence, because I was a fitness professional. I'm helping people and women on their metabolisms, on their weight loss. And here I am struggling with these things. So that's what led me down this path. And that's what led me down really realizing the difference that it could make to go through the functional medicine path versus the Western medicine path. Because in my explorations of this burnout and of my own hormonal status, my own struggles, I was actually laughed at by my doctor. I went to my doctor. I had all the information. I advocated for my symptoms, what I was dealing with. And I said, here's all the lab work that I'd like to get done. And she laughed in my face because she saw me and saw that I looked very fit and I didn't look overweight and that I looked very healthy, and made a snap judgment and kind of laughed me off. And, you know, that's not to say, and that's not to dog on all Western medicine practitioners. We actually have a lot of clients that work in primary healthcare, and they're great and it has its place, but just not for these specific subclinical issues. So let me explain to you the difference between Western and functional medicine so you can decide which one is right for you. So Western medicine, traditional healthcare, going to your primary care, going to your OBGYN, these are going to be professionals that are trained on treating disease once it's already developed. So what that means is it's going to work great for conditions like broken bones, infections, surgeries, post-op, and actual diagnosed conditions. And it does rely fairly heavily on medications and procedures. So it is going to be a little bit more reactive to a situation versus proactive. When it comes to Western medicine, what I have learned is that there are pretty limited testing criteria and testing ranges, not because the practitioner doesn't want what's best for you or doesn't want what's in your best interest, but because of the system that they're in. And I truly believe that there are a lot of Western medicine practitioners that want the best, that are trying to learn about this stuff, but are stuck in a system that really does profit off of people becoming unhealthier and getting on more medications. So what this looks like is when you get lab testing done, if you were to just go to your doctor and ask, can I get labs run? You're going to get probably a CBC, a complete blood panel. You're going to get a CMP, a complete metabolic panel, maybe a lipid panel that's going to show your triglycerides, HDL, LDL, and heart health markers. You might get TSH if you ask about thyroid. So that's your primary thyroid hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. And you might get a couple other things like vitamin D or iron if you ask for it specifically. The problem is that there are far more things that we'd want to look at in a comprehensive lab panel in order to be able to actually identify where are things going wrong under the hood. And so that's problem number one. Problem number two is that the ranges that doctors reference when they look at your labs and they say things are normal, and you get the report back, you see the range, you see you're in the range, and you're like, all right, well, I guess that's not a problem. And you feel like really lost with where you need to go from there. That's not the full picture. So you need to understand where these ranges come from. These ranges come from a range of normal, aka non-diseased population. And I mean, you and I both know, if you're on my page, you know that America is not the healthiest country. The average person, the normal quote unquote person, what's common is not healthy, is not optimal. And so these ranges come from the statistics of people who do not have the diagnosed disease, but is not narrowed in to truly people who are optimally healthy. And so those ranges are very, very wide, and I'll provide an example in a minute. But that's why you can be within the clinical healthy range, or the clinical non-disease range, I will say, but you can still be feeling like shit. And so that is another problem. And then lastly, that kind of goes into the reactive approach, where you're not going to really be able to get treatment or support or be referred to a specialist unless you really are out of that clinically non-diseased range. And so then you're kind of left feeling like, my doctor said everything was okay, and then you just have to wait and wait and wait to see what happens, to where something might escalate to where it's truly a disease, to where you're going to get medication at that point. But a lot of times the medications that were put on to solve these issues lead to other side effects, lead to other micronutrient deficiencies, and that can lead to a whole slew of other problems when it comes to hormonal imbalances and other root cause issues. So that's kind of Western medicine in a nutshell, and I don't want to dog on doctors too much because they are trained to help people. They want to help people. They do want your best interest. They are, for the most part, I think, stuck in a system that doesn't facilitate that very well. But there are doctors out there that if you advocate to them, they will listen and they will support you in what your concerns are. I just find that the common and the most common situation that I run into talking to women on my Instagram page here is that it is few and far between. And so for the majority, I want to help you advocate for yourself. Now, when it comes to functional medicine, the real difference here is that we're looking at your body as a whole system, not just isolated symptoms. And so we're looking at how is everything interrelated, because it really, really is. And we look at, can we get comprehensive testing from your blood work, but also do we need specialized functional lab testing, such as the Dutch test, such as the GI map, to get a more well-rounded picture of your overall functional health. And catch this before it turns into a diagnosable disease like hypothyroidism, like Hashimoto's, like vitamin D deficiency, right? And so we're looking at those things based on your symptoms, ordering the right kinds of tests, and then being able to target the solution with the root cause, with not just supplements, not medications, but nutrition, lifestyle, stress management, and really getting to, how did this thing develop in the first place? Like, what's the history behind it? How did it develop in the first place? And how do we put the lifestyle practices and things in place that actually keep this from coming back in the long run? And so when it comes to functional medicine, we are looking at comprehensive testing. So let me use the thyroid example. TSH, if you got that from your primary care practitioner, you actually, if you want to see the full function of the thyroid, you're going to want to get TSH, T4, T3, free T4 and T3, and your TPO antibodies and your TG antibodies. And that's kind of a whole laundry list of things, right? But you want to see the conversion rate of T4 to T3. You want to see how things are moving down the chain in the hierarchy of those hormones to see really what is going on with your thyroid, if that's the concern, right? And so that's just one example, but across the board, sex hormone panel, we want to see everything between estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, as well as LH, FSH, SHBG, sorry, acronyms just get to me, but all of these different things to see the balance of the hormones and how they interact with each other. And then also, if we do need to look deeper into something like a Dutch test or a GI map, to look at what is our gut microbiome, what is our actual hormone balance, what is our cortisol pattern across the day, not just a fasted pull first thing in the morning. And so those are the types of things that you'd be able to look at, but secondarily, the ranges. The ranges of those hormones are much, much tighter in functional medicine. So you'll see, and I'll give two examples here, thyroid hormone. In traditional Western medicine, I've seen the range be as wide as 0.5 to 4, I believe, in the clinical non-diseased range, whereas optimal TSH function ranges between about 1 and 2. So much, much narrower. Or vitamin D is one that I see all the time, where vitamin D, the normal non-diseased range, is typically somewhere around like 30 to 80, where actual lack of vitamin D deficiency, where you have optimal vitamin D levels, is between 50 and 80. 50 and 80. So you could be anywhere below 50. Your doctor says you're fine, but you still have no energy. Your hormones are all out of whack. You can't sleep. Your circadian rhythm is off. That's what that can be like. So you want to look at the optimal ranges. And then lastly, the actual approach to solving it. Medication use is necessary at times, absolutely. And I'm never going to say I'm anti anything 100% because there's a time and a place for everything. But for a lot of these issues, we want to get to the actual root and solve where are the deficiencies in the nutrients that you're eating? Where are the deficiencies in your lifestyle that are creating the hormonal balances that are happening? And if we can do that, your whole life improves as a whole. So that's really the bigger difference between functional and Western medicine. So if you're really just tired of hearing that everything looks normal, or your story resonates with mine or the clients that we've worked with, we can definitely help. And that's a big part of what we do here at PCC. So we have a 3-step process. I have a whole nother Instagram live video and podcast on this where we establish your foundations to eliminate the symptoms that are caused by diet and lifestyle. We test based on the remaining symptoms, based on those in order to get you the right tests and the right answers. And then we optimize from there with your nutrition, your lifestyle, and make sure that you can lose weight and keep it off for good with a root cause approach. And so if you're interested in that, make sure that you comment below either on this live stream if you're watching on Instagram, or you can hit the link in the bio for the podcast to schedule a free consultation. Because if you are really struggling with this, I want to be able to talk to you, hear your story out, and figure out what are the next steps for you based on where you're at currently, and we can devise a game plan together. There's absolutely no risk for taking this call. We're just going to have a conversation and see if it's a good fit, and I'll be honest either way. And if you do decide to join, we guarantee your results or your money back. So it really is a no-lose situation for you. And then if you do want just a free document that's going to give you all of the different lab markers that you should request and advocate for in your journey from your primary care practitioner, and be able to see if you can get that covered by insurance, I can send you a full document of the symptoms and how they relate to different lab markers and what you can advocate for. If that's the case, comment below the word labs on the live stream below. So comment labs for the lab document, comment audit for a free consultation, and I'm looking forward to helping. So just don't wait until things get worse. Advocate for yourself. You deserve better. And just remember that survival mode is not a badge of honor. You don't have to live that way, and you can definitely find answers. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you back here for the next one, and comment below audit or labs based on what you need.